Sorry, we are live.
I'd like to have a motion to approve the minutes from the prior meeting. Have Supervisor Frazier. Privilege of the floor, public comment. Do we have one this morning? I'm vote on the minutes. No, probably right. So the answer is let's say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Back to public comment. Sir, come to the podium, please.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Stuart Allen, and I live here in Queensbury.
So, Stuart, can you speak up a little bit? I'm not sure.
Right. Okay.
That's better. Thank you.
Okay. Again, I'm Stuart Allen. I live here in Queensbury, and I represent a group of taxpayers from Warren County who have selected me as their spokesperson. We are concerned about the state of our county in terms of modernization and online access to public events such as this. And we thank you for making this event publicly available online so that the taxpayers can understand what's happening with their government. That is important. Transparency breeds trust, and we appreciate your continued support for keeping these meetings and other public events online. There are 17 quick facts I would like to explain to you, and I will go through them quickly because I know time is of the essence. I am an alumnus from ACC, now SUNY Adirondack, and I'm very proud of this institution. I believe SUNY Adirondack is very important in our community, and I want it to continue to flourish and be the diamond that it is, helping our community in many ways. I support SUNY Adirondack. One thing that has been said about the dark cloud of COVID is that out of every dark cloud, there is a silver lining. And for me, the silver lining from the dark cloud of COVID has been to understand my local government, thanks to the supervisors putting online these events. I have learned so much about not only the functioning of local government and how I and other people can make a difference, but also so much about our county. I have been able to sell our county to other people because of what I have learned here. And that's very important for our tourist-based economy. Public education is a good thing. We all know it. We all agree to it. And this is one way to have it, by putting information online, just as this meeting is online right now. Unfortunately, this online access is steadily disappearing. It is being taken away from the taxpayers steadily, step by step, and that is a problem. We need to maintain it. In-person events are great. In-person events are fantastic. We support in-person events. We would like to continue in-person events. We would also like in-person events to have the option of public participation remotely. I remind you, YouTube is free, Zoom is free, and any smartphone can now simulcast a public meeting that is financed by the taxpayers. Over 90% of Americans, probably everyone in this room, has a smartphone. So it's no longer about equipment. It's no longer about internet access or the facility. In-person events are great. We need to continue them. However, most people are not able to drop anything. They have jobs, they have family responsibilities. They can't necessarily be at a meeting with 2 weeks' notice, for example, and they shouldn't have to. The taxpayers are paying for online access, and they deserve to receive it. We believe that leadership starts at the top. Again, I thank you for your leadership on this issue and your continued support. One important example of this online access, or lack thereof, will occur 2 weeks from today, right here at SUNY Adirondack. The Economic Development Corporation, the EDC, will be having one of their events for the public, despite repeated public requests for online access to this event. It is continuously denied. That is a problem. It is a problem for many reasons. This does not make our community look good. It does not make our community look modern and a good place to take a job. to live, to buy a home, or to invest. Whether we like it or not, we are in competition with every other community, whether we like it or not. We need to attract younger, working age people. Those people are living their lives more and more using technology. They expect online access. We need to be realistic and provide it. I'm glad that Dr. Duffy is here. We have had a series of communications about this issue, and I'm glad she is here to potentially address it. Dr. Duffy, as the administrator for SUNY Adirondack, supervises the beautiful new building, the $17 million science center that we have, that the taxpayers have paid for, $6 million of which was paid for by Warren County taxpayers. Part of the reason it was built and sold to the taxpayers was as a distance learning facility. It has a beautiful conference room. It is designed for distance learning. I assume most of you have been there, and some of you will be there again in 2 weeks. What is important here is that this facility is being underutilized. 2 weeks from today is a perfect example of how it is underutilized, because only a tiny percentage of the 65,000 Warren County residents will be able to drop everything and go over there for an in-person only meeting. Yet again, numerous taxpayers have repeatedly requested online access to EDC events such as this one, and it's particularly problematic that it is in a facility that is designed for distance learning, but distance learning is being denied. We repeatedly shared these concerns with both Dr. Duffy and the president of the Economic Development Corporation, Mr. Jim Cipron, and we have gotten nowhere, quite frankly. We would appreciate you supervising and fixing this deficiency. We ask the Board of Supervisors to stand in solidarity with the taxpayers that are requesting online access to this and other publicly financed events. We ask for you, if you're going to attend it, please demonstrate leadership and attend correctly. Set a good example. That remote access is not yet available, but we have no doubt that you can make it happen. If 15 days isn't enough time, I don't know how long is needed. We are 3.5 years into a pandemic. We've all gone to dozens, if not hundreds, of online events by now. This should not be a heavy lift. As a SUNY Adirondack alumnus, I am particularly upset how this impacts the reputation of the entire SUNY system. And at a time where we desperately need to attract working age people, we have a nursing program right here, but as we know, many of our graduates live in the area. Our hospital can't easily recruit nurses. That is one example. And what message are we sending these students? I think the message is pretty clear. This is not where they want to build a life, but we want to go to more metropolitan areas where they can live a modern life as they expect.
I need to just for a minute. We allow like 3 minutes for a comment. I've given, we've had much more than that. Please talk about a minute.
In conclusion,
Thank you very much.
I've gone through most of these issues with you. We have another set of 17 benefits of adding online access, but you already know many of these intuitively. It is a fact that 90% of women, 90%, say that job flexibility is important to them. Most college students are now furloughed. We are sending the wrong message, not only to the SUNY Adirondack students, but to the community as a whole. We ask you to ultimately require online access to publicly financed community events. We also ask that this event and future EDC events open to the public be available to the public remotely. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Stuart. Supervisor McDermott.
I'm just trying to better understand this event that's coming up in 2 weeks at the college. We have reasonable people here. Cipron's a reasonable human being. I specifically, why can this meeting, which is coming up, why can it not be online?
Mr. Cipron is obviously quite capable of speaking for himself on this issue. I do not wish to speak for him. That is an excellent question. I don't have the answer to that.
I can help with that. It's part of the fundraising mechanism that the Economic Development Corporation goes through.
Many organizations do it with online access as well. You can still pay for it and remotely access. That's not a barrier.
And it really doesn't belong in this committee, the personnel committee. It would belong in our legislative rules. And we can pass this request around to that committee to consider whether or not we can modify our current process.
Yeah, I think some of us will reach out to Jim Siplon. Just, I will at least today, and just try to better understand what's going on.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
And Stuart, I do agree with you. There's certain aspects that should be more available. It's just a matter of trying to figure out the best way to make that happen. So thank you very much. Moving on to our action agenda, City Adirondack.
Morning, everyone. Well, first of all, I would like to thank you for your support in increasing your investment in SUNY Adirondack. This has been a long conversation. We greatly appreciate the supervisor's support, and we also, of course, acknowledge Washington County's support. This to me says that you have trust in the work that we do, and we intend to, of course, keep that trust front and center. Just so you know, our turf field project is just about wrapping up. We still have some punch list items, but we will be able to open up the turf field for some potential rentals probably later in July, starting in July, to support our community. So thank you to the Occupancy Tax Committee and the supervisors for that support. Graduation, I want to thank Supervisor Wild for attending graduation. We graduated about a little over 450 students. It was a wonderful day, as it always is. I was just telling Supervisor Leggett that I cry every time. You know, the stories of our students are incredible. The sacrifices that so many students and families make to get to that finish line are astounding. And it's always wonderful to have it in the cool insuring arena because everyone can come. So, you know, whole extended families are there hooting and hollering for their graduates, and it's a wonderful ceremony. Speaking of graduates, our nursing students just achieved a 97% pass rate on the NCLEX, which is their licensure exam. 97%, just to give you some perspective, the state average is 73% and the national average is 79%. So just want you to know that, you know, the high quality education that we're providing, the faculty and the students are knocking it out of the park, and of course are helping to fill the incredible gap in our healthcare workforce. We were recipients in partnership with 3 other community colleges in the Capital Region about a year ago to focus on providing education and training for the emerging cannabis industry, cannabis and hemp. SUNY Adirondack's portion of that grant was specifically to create 2 what we call micro credentials. So a grouping of courses that could provide some skill set for those who might be working in that industry. So starting this fall, we anticipate launching 1 micro credential that's called Cannabis Business Entrepreneurship. So really the entrepreneurship arm of the industry. And the second is about cannabis and hemp cultivation. We just received our hemp license, so we'll be growing hemp on campus and be able to utilize that as a demonstration project to help those that will be working in that end of the industry. I want to thank the Warren County Sheriff's K-9 Department. They came on campus about a month or so ago to demonstrate for our criminal justice students how that unit works within the Sheriff's Department. So we appreciate that partnership with the county. And if you didn't know, your district attorney, Jason Carasone, taught for us in our criminal justice program on a part-time basis this past spring. So it's so great when we can bring professionals into the classroom to help our students understand the pathways that they might be considering. So I wanted to share that. And other than that, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you, Chris. It was a privilege and a joy to be at the graduation ceremony. If anyone gets a chance to do that, I highly recommend it. It was wonderful. Any questions or comments? Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. Jackie, you're up. Personnel.
Morning. My first item is just a review of the vacancies filled. The
process administratively has changed a little bit. As far as the approvals in the committee process, but administratively in HR and civil service, it's remained the same. So I'm going to continue tracking these and reporting on them despite the larger change. So if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer on that. Otherwise, I will keep providing it. Okay. My next request is resolution request to amend the out of unit policies to add Juneteenth to the list of holidays there. We've had 6 MOAs with our bargaining units created and signed by all parties to memorialize the change for the union employees. So this is to make that same change for the non-union folks.
So motion to bring this to the floor. Supervisor Randall, Supervisor Frazier. Yeah, thank you. Any questions or comments? Supervisor Thomas, what's the cost?
I am not sure.
Yes, it was 115,000 to all included. Didn't break it down by section, right?
Any questions or comments? Seeing none. Motion to approve that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? See a show of hands for all those in favor. It's careless. And Supervisor Thomas is opposed. Thank you. That motion passed. Jackie?
And the last one is an update to the policy for remote work for everyone outside of the sheriff's department. You'll remember a couple of years ago during COVID, we memorialized some existing remote work practices and created some parameters around that. What we've done is clean up the language. I think it's about half as long as it was before because we were a little repetitious. Last time we made the form shorter and removed the requirement for monthly approval by the department head. It's now a standing annual approval that can be revoked at any time.
Okay, excellent.
Motion to bring that forward to the floor. Supervisor Ryan, second, Supervisor Frazier, thank you. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye. 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 Very good. Madam Clerk.
Yes, so the first one I have is a request to amend the rules of the board to change the date of the September board meeting. So usually the NISAC conferences fall on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. For some reason this year it's on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and it coincides with our board meeting. So I talked to the chairman and we agreed that this would be a reasonable change.
So this has to go to the full board.
Yes, because the annual schedule of board meetings is set by the rules of the board, so we need to amend the rules of the board to change the date of just that board meeting from Friday back to Tuesday.
So we can do that during personnel.
Yeah, and it gets referred to the board. So it'll come to the board in a resolution.
Right, so approval, Supervisor Thomas, Supervisor Ryan. Any questions, comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries.
Okay, and my second item is we recently received a bill from the treasurer's office for fees for a van invoice, and I did not budget for that. It was something we weren't expecting, so we're requesting a transfer of $6,500 into the legislative board budget to cover that.
Motion to bring that to the floor. Supervisor Frazier, Supervisor Ryan, in a second. Any questions, comments, discussions?
Mike, how comes that legislative board pays for the land? Why wouldn't it be part of the cost of the change? Why isn't it this is the fee that the fiscal, this is the fee that the fiscal. Yeah. It's always come out of the legislative. If you want to change it, we can change it. That's, it just doesn't make sense that the legislative the board of supervisors could make, or I wouldn't have a problem if next year it gets moved. I'm wondering about that myself, but that's one of those things that it's always been that way, and by the time when it comes to budget, I forget about it. I would suggest that they either. I would think that it's both been.
I made a note. Any other discussion? No other question. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? That carries. Moving forward to criminal justice and public safety is Supervisor Drosy here. Okay, yes. Number one, request to amend the table of organization salary schedule to increase the salary of the position of assistant public defender 7 from $71,015 to $76,281 effective June 19, 2023. Motion to bring that to the floor. Supervisor Frazier, Supervisor McDevitt, in second. Any questions, comments? I move with a motion made by all of us. I think we're all. Yeah. Supervisor McDevitt, Supervisor Ryan, to agenda one.
So you need a motion. You have a motion by Frazier.
Thank you. Be able to amend their motion.
Right, yes.
Yes.
Thank you. So any questions, comments on this? Mike, you have a moment to give us some background on this? I remember sitting through that meeting, but I was pretty confused through the process.
These are all on the public defender.
Yes.
Salary increases, yeah, well, trying to be competitive, number one. We're really not in many cases, so this is that effort to bring those folks up to where they should be. And there's some innovative efforts by the public defender's office to try to bring people on early, even before they graduate from law school. So this is really what the overall effort is.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Supervisor Thomas.
These new positions, are they funded by your parent?
Yes.
My next question is, do they go away if your hearing funding goes away?
So Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I did want to add that they are funded by Harrell Herring, and the driver behind this is the recent increase by the state for the assigned counsel attorneys, the panel attorney, the fees, the 18B attorneys are they're called. That the fee went from $75 to $158 an hour. And it's going to put a lot of pressure on all of our attorneys because they can make so much more doing that. So we have to just continually watch this.
Supervisor Thomas.
Would it be cheaper for us to establish a conflict attorney section within the public defender's office rather than having a civil counsel?
I believe that's something under consideration. I'll let the administrator.
Maybe. Yes. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, motion to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. That motion carries also. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. From the Public Works Committee, request to amend the table of organization salary schedule for the position of temporary confidential assistant. A motion to bring that to the floor. Supervisor McDevitt, Supervisor Ryan. Any questions? Let's see. There was Kevin. Any comment, Kevin, would like to meet to the committee?
This is for the temporary position, confidential assistant.
Yes.
Yeah, my confidential assistant is retiring almost 100% sure by the end of August. And this is to have somebody in place that she can train for a month's time before she leaves.
Do we have a motion to make the motion for this? Or not? I have a motion. Okay, so Supervisor Frazier.
Well, it says annual salary, $5,000. Is that correct?
I think $5,000 just for the transition.
This is just for the transition.
Okay,
That's all.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, that motion passes. Moving on to our administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to discuss the selection of our next candidate for the assigned council position. I'd like to do that in executive session. County attorney is going to request an executive session at the end of this meeting, so I'd like to defer to that time.
Okay.
Okay. Seeing no objections. Moving on to
Thank you. The first item under 7A is just for funding of a prior resolution which involved an employee matter. The employee was an employee for the county attorney's office. That employee is no longer employed with the county as of this past Friday. So I'd ask your consideration to fund the resolution that was previously passed as resolution number 177 of 2023.
Motion to bring that to the floor. Supervisor Thomas, Supervisor Runyon in the second. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed, that motion carries.
Under 7B is a request to award a legal contract for the Warren County Self-Insurance Fund. By statute, as the county attorney, the representation of the insurance fund falls under my office's area of responsibility. I am comfortable acknowledging to every member of the committee and the public that I know less to nothing about workers' compensation law and compensation hearings in the state of New York, nor do I ever choose to have a deep knowledge of that area of law. We submit with a tremendous amount of support and assistance from Amy Fleet and from Jessica Burnham. We did a RFP that came back. We had a very positive, robust response from 6 law firms. Based on the scale of scoring that we created as part of that RFP with the assistance of Julie Butler, we're looking to award the contract for representation to Mary and Higgins LLC. I believe they're going to do a tremendous job going forward for us. And they are currently the law firm that's representing the county's self-insurance fund as well.
Okay, this is 2 years for $100,000, or is it $100,000 each year?
It's a not to exceed $100,000 a year. It's really difficult to peg what your fees are going to be in a given year. It appears that recently they've been in the mid 80s. $80,000 range, $80,000 to $90,000. But a not to exceed at 100 will hopefully be a number we can maintain going forward, so long as the claims do not significantly increase that require legal representation.
A motion to bring this to the floor. Supervisor Thomas, Supervisor Runyon in the second. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, that motion carries also.
And with the consent of the chair, I'd like to defer the executive session on the matters listed, as well as the one matter for the county attorney, for the county administrator towards the end of this meeting, if that's acceptable.
That's fine. I think we're just about there. That's the end. All right. And so would you like to help us rest this executive session?
I would ask for a motion to go into executive session. And the purpose of the executive session is to address under Public Officers Law 105 subsection 1D, discussions regarding proposed, pending, or current litigation. And on that list, there are 2 matters that were on the agenda: Kathleen Innes and the County of Warren, and John Smith versus the County of Schenectady, which also includes the County of Warren
I would like to add a decision or a matter that was, we got a decision on yesterday, G. Travis Whitehead versus the County of Warren. And then additionally, an additional reason for, it matters for executive session under 105(1)(f), to discuss matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person from the county. And there are specific individuals and one matter involving assigned counsel, the office of assigned counsel, which we'd like to address. That's kind of a long motion, but I think it covers it.
Anyone would like to bring that question to the floor? Supervisor Down, a second, someone? Supervisor Runyon, thank you. All those in favor of entering into executive session, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye opposed? Seeing none, we will enter into executive session. Thank you, everyone, for.
But also, I apologize, because I always forget, and I